In the quiet coastal town of Oakhaven, two friends named Elias and Julian spend their days watching the tide. Elias, a young man with messy sandy hair, wearing a worn-out blue denim shirt and tan skin, leans against the weathered wooden pier. Beside him is Julian, a young man with neatly combed dark hair, wearing a clean white linen shirt and glasses, looking thoughtfully at the horizon. They have the same job at the docks and earn the same wage, but they see world through completely different lenses. To Elias, the sea is just a repetitive cycle of hard labor. To Julian, it is a vast ocean of potential waiting to be harnessed by those who look closely enough. One afternoon, they come across a weathered, broken-down wooden boat tucked away behind the main rental shop. Elias scoffed, thinking it was just a pile of rotten timber taking up space and creating more work for them. Julian, however, stepped closer, examining the hull with a spark of genuine curiosity in his eyes behind his glasses. He saw beyond the peeling paint and the deep cracks in the wood. While Elias complained about the clutter, Julian was already imagining how a few repairs could turn this forgotten relic into a profitable asset. It was the first sign of the diverging paths their lives would soon take.
The owner of the shop decided to give both men a small bonus of $500 for their hard work during the busy season. Elias's eyes lit up immediately with thoughts of what he could buy right now to enjoy himself. He talked excitedly about a shiny new designer watch he had seen in the window of a downtown boutique. Julian listened quietly, his mind calculating a very different kind of purchase. He knew that money spent on a luxury item was gone forever, but money invested into a tool could grow. This moment became the catalyst for a life-changing experiment between the two friends. By the end of the week, the difference in their choices was clear to everyone in the town. Elias walked onto the pier with a heavy, gold-plated watch glistening on his wrist, feeling like a king for a day. He spent his remaining cash on a celebratory dinner, enjoying the fleeting feeling of status and luxury. Julian, on the other hand, arrived at the shop with a box of heavy sandpaper, high-grade sealant, and a set of refurbished oars. He had spent every single cent of his bonus on purchasing the broken boat he had spotted earlier, securing its ownership, and preparing for a long journey of restoration. Weeks turned into months, and the daily routines of the two men began to reflect their deep-seated mindsets. Every evening after work, Elias would head to the local tavern to show off his watch and relax with friends. Meanwhile, Julian, the young man with neatly combed dark hair, wearing a clean white linen shirt and glasses, would spend his hours under the setting sun at the shipyard. He was often covered in sawdust and sweat, meticulously repairing the old boat's wooden frame. Elias would often laugh as he walked by, telling Julian he was wasting his youth on a piece of junk that might never even float. The season slowly changed, and the first signs of the busy tourist season began to appear on the horizon once again. Elias's expensive watch had started to lose its luster. Its strap was frayed, and its mechanism occasionally ticked slow and unreliable. He found himself stressed, wishing he had more money to maintain the lifestyle he had briefly tasted. Julian's hands were calloused and tired, but the boat behind the shop was now a beautiful, sturdy vessel with a fresh coat of sapphire blue paint. He hadn't just built a boat, he had built a bridge to a different future, while Elias remained stuck in the present. Suddenly, a massive influx of tourists arrived in Oakhaven, and the local rental shop simply couldn't keep up with the high demand. People were lining up on the wooden pier, desperate for any way to get out onto the water for a tour. Elias was stuck behind the counter, working overtime for the same hourly wage, feeling exhausted, bitter, and trapped. Julian saw his moment and finally launched his newly restored boat into the harbor. It sat perfectly on the water, a testament to his long months of patience and labor. He wasn't just an employee anymore. He was a business owner, standing on his own deck. The contrast between the two friends became even sharper when a sudden summer storm threatened the coastline. Elias panicked about his watch, worried that the humidity or a stray drop of rain would ruin what little value it had left. Julian, the young man with neatly combed dark hair, wearing a clean white linen shirt and glasses, calmly secured his boat with heavy-duty ropes and anchored it safely. He wasn't afraid of the storm because he had built his foundation on something solid and productive. The storm eventually passed, and while Elias felt depleted and worried, Julian felt more resilient and prepared than ever before.
By the end of the peak season, Julian had earned back 3 times what he had initially spent on the boat and its repairs. He didn't rush out to buy a luxury watch or fancy clothes with his new profits. Instead, he approached the shop owner to negotiate a lease for a second abandoned vessel he had found. Elias watched from a distance, his pockets empty and his watch now sitting in a drawer, broken and forgotten. He realized that while he was busy consuming his wealth, Julian was busy creating a cycle of growth that seemed unstoppable and rewarding. One evening, Elias sat down with Julian on the very same pier where they had started their journey. Elias finally admitted he was struggling and asked Julian for a loan to cover his rising debts and rent. Julian looked at his friend with kindness, but didn't immediately reach for his wallet. Instead, he offered Elias a job helping him restore the second boat, promising to teach him the skills and, more importantly, the mindset. He explained that a loan would only solve the temporary symptom, but a shift in thinking would solve the problem for good. Elias looked at the tools, then back at Julian, and finally nodded. The story of Elias and Julian reminds us that true wealth is not about how much you make, but how much you keep and how you use it. A poor mindset seeks immediate gratification and views money as a tool for consumption and temporary status. A rich mindset sees money as a seed that must be planted, nurtured, and protected to provide a future harvest. It's about having the patience to build something today that will take care of you tomorrow. Your mindset is the most valuable asset you will ever own, so choose to invest it wisely and think like a builder.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the coastal town of Oakhaven. We hope the story of these two friends inspires you to look at your own financial choices through a new and empowered lens. If you found this story valuable, please hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Don't forget to subscribe Nori's Level Up for more stories on personal growth, financial mindset, and success. Leave a comment below. Are you currently a consumer like Elias, or are you ready to become a builder like Julian? We'll see you in the next video.